Okay. Hello.
It's
How's everyone
happening.
doing? Yeah, hopefully hopefully I found a nice rising song right now. Everyone's getting excited. We're vibing out together. This is special. You guys are joining us for a really exciting moment. We're sharing this together. This is episode 1 of our new podcast. I'm Calvyn, and
And
this
I'm
is...
Courtney. Can introduce
I don't...
myself.
Yeah, I figured you were going to say something like that, so I wanted to kind of give that to you. But this is episode 1. This is our new podcast, the tall and the short of it. I'm the tall of it, and Courtney's the short of it. If you've seen us in person, you'll know that we are quite an odd-looking couple. And I don't know if that's because I'm freakishly tall or Courtney's freakishly short.
No, you see, I think I'm normal. I'm 5'3", which I
Yeah,
think is
that's
like
kind
the
of...
normal height. I don't ever
I'm
feel really
borderline.
short.
I'm borderline Avatar-ish.
Yeah,
I'm
Calvin's 6
six.
foot.
I'm 6'4", 6'4", 6'5". Why do you keep saying I'm 6 foot?
Sorry, I don't know.
You're taking
Anyways,
5 inches away.
it's a major height difference, but more so the tall and the short of it. It's kind of a play on words, I think, with our personality. Calvin being like super optimistic, adventurous, spontaneous, and me being very realistic, a lot more rigid,
Logical.
more logical, less
We're
fun,
like
I guess.
star-crossed lovers in a way. We're just
Yeah,
complete opposites in every way, physically, personality-wise, and I think that's what makes us us. And that's what I love
absolutely.
about us, because we have all sides of thinking when we have conversation, because I have my head in the clouds and Courtney is the smart one. So
I
you're going to
try and
find that
pull
out
the
pretty
head.
soon.
I try and pull his head out of the clouds most of the time.
But
But
sometimes the head needs to stay in the clouds. You know what
I
I'm
mean, it's
saying?
obviously working because here we are 6.5 years later.
Yeah, if you want to, you could actually see the height difference in our podcast cover art, which is an illustration done by Laura. I'll link her. She's done an amazing job, I think. It looks
Oh,
pretty
she's
awesome.
incredible, and she's so collaborative, which is what I loved about her. Using her is like
Working
she
with her.
really does work with you, and it was just a really pleasant experience. I'm so excited about what it looks like, and we're both so excited. We just want to share it now at this point. So
Yeah, let us know what you think.
yeah,
But that illustration was done off of a real photograph. So that's
that is
literally
the
the
high
height difference.
difference.
So there's something else that's pretty interesting about this podcast is we're on opposite sides of the world right now.
Literally.
I'm sitting in Laguna in California in America.
And I am in Durban, South Africa. It's 4:30 here. I don't know what it must be like way early in the
It's
morning.
4:30 p.m. in
Yeah.
South Africa. It is 7:20 a.m. in America, in Laguna right now. So this is pretty crazy. We're on opposite sides of the world, and we have been for a while. How long has it been?
I don't know. I stopped counting. I find it depressing, to be honest. Like, I think I counted up to 16 weeks of not seeing you. And then I thought, why am I actually counting this? Because it's just sad to think about. So at this point, it's been a very long time. Let's just say we said goodbye to each other at the end of January. So you can work it out.
Yeah, so January, I mean, everyone knows it's been a fucking wild year. 2020
Yeah,
has
for
been
everyone.
crazy
But it's super
for
interesting because
everyone
there's
for
so
multiple
many
reasons.
people in the same position that we're in with long distance and kind of being torn apart from loved ones all over the place. And yeah, I guess it's just super out of our control. So there's nothing we can do. We're trying to make it work. But
Yeah, we're staying positive about it. But let us explain what led us to this point. Okay. So we're both South African, and we were back home for Christmas in December. And I'm training in Los Angeles. So obviously, the 2020 Olympic Games was supposed to happen this year. That was the focus, that was the goal. And I came back to the US to continue my training in January. And Courtney when were you going to join me? Like a month or so
well,
after?
I was going to come back with you after trials in April. No, I was coming
Oh,
back
yeah,
with you in
yeah.
April.
Okay.
We were going to come back
You're right,
together.
you're right. Sorry. I was coming to America in January. I was going to stay here until I was going to go back to South Africa in March to compete at the South African Olympic trials. And obviously, that is exactly when COVID decided to kind of kick
Mm.
off. It's actually kind of crazy because the day COVID really exploded on the media and everyone kind of started shutting things down, that was the day of my flight.
Yeah. Well, I kind of knew it was gonna happen.
I got an email the day before my flight back home saying all flights had kind of been cancelled. And that was a crazy experience because at this point, I mean, I competed at the last Olympics 2016. So it's been a 4-year build up of getting ready and kind of peaking to compete at this Olympics this year.
I mean, I kind of felt like in February we had this conversation about COVID and stuff, and I had this feeling that nothing was gonna happen. I don't know why. I'm a bit of a doomsday. What do they
Well,
call
I hope you
them?
didn't manifest that
I
because,
didn't manifest it, but I was, I was watching it all unfold, and it just felt like, at that stage things were getting so bad, and I just had this weird feeling. But you were really positive. Calvin was training for the Olympics until they called it off, literally.
yeah, I was fully focused. I mean, like I said, right up until the day of my flight, I was literally getting ready to go home and compete I think it was the 26th of March, I was supposed to fly out. And I was literally, I mean, I would have been racing a week after that. So I was in like my peak conditions, like great shape, everything ready, peaked, ready to race at my best ability, kind of, you know, qualify for the Olympics. That was the plan. So I went from kind of overnight being in my best physical, like athletic mindset to the next day being
Having it all ripped
having
away.
having it all
And
just like kind of been like, oh, by the way, nothing's actually going to happen anymore.
and on top of that, also, like, not being able to come home or be with the family. So, you kind of were like dealing with, okay, so Olympics isn't happening, but now I can't even get on my flight home to be with everyone in the beginning of the pandemic when it was so confusing and no one really knew what was happening. I think that was the worst. And what's so weird is even within that week, you were supposed to fly out on Wednesday, and the flights went out on Monday, Tuesday. They were canceled Wednesday, but they left Thursday and Friday. And it was like just the strangest set of events.
Well, also, I just forgot because it has actually been quite a while already. Um, is the flight was cancelled, but the Olympic trials were still going on. Olympics was still going on, and everything at that point. Olympics were only cancelled like a couple months into quarantine. So
Oh,
at this
true.
point, I was like super stressed out because
You couldn't
my
train.
flights, no, well, my flights had been cancelled, so I couldn't get home to Olympic trials. So I'm on the phone with all the coaches in South Africa. I was stressed, and I'm like phoning them. I'm like, guys, my flight's cancelled. I don't know how I'm gonna get home. Uh,
Yeah, and you were like,
are you
"Is
guys
is
not gonna let me on the team because I missed trials? But it's out of my hands. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm phoning the coaches here in South Africa, here in America, and I'm like,
you were like
guys,
trying
what
to
do I?
find out if you could qualify in America, like somehow if you could, and then all the
Yeah,
other South Africans that were also training there, you guys were all trying to figure this out, and it was super confusing. But you also couldn't train.
no, but you just reminded me. So this was wow. This was really. I'm having like
No,
a bit
babe,
of
I feel like
PTSD because this
you are
was stressful.
literally, like, forgetting everything that happened, all these events. I should almost be relaying them.
So it's kind of all happened over a weekend. There's about 5 or 6 of us on the South African national team that are training here in America, and we all got on a WhatsApp group chat, and we were all freaking out, and everyone was like sending messages like, "Are your flights happening?" Because we're all in different states. So I think 2 people made it back in time, and then the rest of us were all like, "Well, what are we going to do if we stick together? They're going to have to let us qualify here in America." We're like kind of building a whole case we were going to present to the Olympic Committee. Um,
And meanwhile, I was like, "Calvin, Olympics isn't gonna happen." I kept saying to you, like, "Just focus on getting home." All I wanted was you to be home at that point because I was so just, when it just started, I think everyone was kind of just stressed out about what was going on, and I was like, "I just want everyone, all my loved ones back here." And
yeah, well, that would have been great,
it
but
would have been, but everything
things
happens
got
for a reason.
the story continues, and things got even more wild because as we know, COVID kind of became this wild, crazy animal and just got more and more hectic. And it got to the point where we all went into quarantine. So then the training stopped. At this point, again, Olympics still wasn't cancelled. So now everyone's kind of stressed out that we're
Can't
going
train.
months without training, and thinking we're still going to have to somehow compete at the Olympics in August. I think it was like a month or two before quarantine ended did they only kind of say, okay, Olympics is going to be postponed. Yeah, that was crazy. So I got stuck in quarantine here in Los Angeles, and Courtney got stuck in quarantine in South Africa. There were things called repatriation flights that were happening around the world where people's home
Yeah,
countries were flying them home from foreign countries. Now, you might be wondering, Calvin, why didn't you jump on
I
one of
think
those?
everyone's wondering. I get this question all the time, like, why didn't he come back on a repat flight? So please explain.
I'm currently in the process of trying to change from my athlete kind of like working visa to the green card, which I've been in the process of for a little, probably close to 2 years now. It's been
Over
crazy.
2 years.
It's been that in itself has been a crazy experience and has taken ages. But what that means is, whilst I'm in this kind of transition period of changing statuses, I'm not allowed to leave America.
Yeah, he's stuck there. So COVID or not, like I always say this to people, like it's actually it doesn't even matter because if COVID didn't exist, you still wouldn't be able to leave right now. You know?
Yes,
The only issue is I just can't get there.
this change of status situation only happened off like during quarantine. I went into this, so I was fine to leave and go to Olympic trials and come back.
I actually don't know what was gonna happen, but you know what? It's so confusing with lawyers and like
No,
the whole
you get
process.
permission. You get permission to do like big events like that. So that would have all worked out. But
Yes.
now,
But
yeah.
anyways,
So
it
anyway,
didn't.
long story. See the long, the tall and short of it. The short of it is I'm stuck here, and Courtney is stuck in South Africa.
Yeah.
But
Apparently, we're supposed to open borders in like a couple days to international travel, but it's going to be a gradual process. We've had the most insane lockdown, and I'm sure anyone listening from South Africa will. I
let's
feel like
compare lockdowns.
ours has just been maybe it's I think it's been one of the worst because I'm living in it. But and I'm sure so many people from South Africa can totally relate. But we've had such a difficult lockdown. It's been totally necessary given, you know, like we're a third world country and you know we have a lot of difficulties and challenges that you guys don't necessarily face. So it's been necessary, but it's been really difficult. And
Well, the
yeah.
thing that makes South Africa's lockdown so much more crazy than I think what I faced here in Los Angeles is that they banned alcohol sales
Yeah.
and
Oh gosh, and
tobacco
cigarette
sales. So
sales for
yeah, so
months.
cigarettes and alcohol for whatever. Well, their logic was that you share these items and products in group settings, and it would
Well,
encourage.
no, that was the cigarette thing. Apparently, you know, you pass your cigarettes around, and then the alcohol reason was that, and it did make sense, but basically there were a spike in alcohol-related injuries and deaths, and they were taking up hospital beds for COVID patients. And so they thought if we stop alcohol, people don't get rowdy, they don't get crazy, they don't want to go visiting others. So that was kind of their logic. But little did they know that there's a whole illegal trade going on behind their back. I mean, I don't really think anyone stopped smoking during lockdown or drinking because everyone made a plan. They got it. It came into this country somehow.
In
So
true South African fashion.
and you know, it's so funny because then afterwards they like opened it up again and everyone they would you know how fake messages spread on WhatsApp and there would be these fake
Yeah.
messages that it was closing and like everyone would rush to the bottle stores, stock up like all this booze
Did you say
because
battle stores?
I know, but we we have trust issues now. I feel like I have trust issues with our country and no one's taking any chances. So I think everyone's houses are like just stocked up with booze now and cigarettes just in case. But
Well, it's just crazy that they would, because I feel like that was a coping mechanism for so many people, having their glass of wine during the day during quarantine, just kind of settling their nerves. and especially those with like cigarette addiction, I imagine
Well,
they really
that
would
was
have
my
faced some
whole case
challenges.
with, like, tobacco addiction. It's not something you can just stop. I can understand the alcohol thing, the cigarettes just didn't make any sense to me, but then it's so weird because I watch on the news in the UK have their pubs closed, they can only run until 10 p.m. or something, and I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, like, you guys are so lucky you can even go out to a pub and drink, because we couldn't for so long." I mean, it's only just I think we had 5 levels, and we had to come down to level 2 before our bars and restaurants opened, which was only pretty recently.
The funniest part is South Africa handled COVID better than so many other countries. Like South Africa honestly did a great job. Do you know the stats? What
No, I don't really look into the numbers anymore. I don't know what to believe and what not to, and I'm sure lots of people are feeling like this too.
But I think what I'm trying to say is South Africa's numbers were very low.
Yeah, it was compared to what they could have been. I think that's what I keep thinking. I'm like,
At
not
least
great.
to the numbers I was seeing here in California. I mean, California got absolutely crazy. There were so many cases going on, unfortunately, so many deaths. And why I'm saying all of that is because we actually, I feel like you were in lockdown longer than we were in California. Like it was crazy. And
Oh,
your
actually,
lockdown was
you
stricter.
guys weren't on a lockdown, you were on a stay-at-home order, basically, like, almost a suggestion, I guess, like, "Please stay at home." We
Yeah,
were actually not even allowed to walk out of our house. Not You couldn't walk your dogs,
they
you
were
couldn't do
police. You
anything
guys
like
had
that.
police.
We had
W- y- s-
roadblocks, police people. I mean,
You had the army in the streets in some
my
cities.
dad was running 6 kilometers up and down the driveway. 6 kilometers, is that like 4 miles?
Well, well, let me just state that your driveway is not 6 kilometers for anyone that's
No,
confused. He was
up and
doing
down,
laps in
yeah.
a very normal sized.
But at the same time, then I'm like, we were super blessed that I even have a house, because people stuck in apartments or stuck in smaller, areas with
Well,
larger families, like, it's very
I
difficult.
hated that because I'm in an apartment, obviously. We don't have a balcony or like a garden or anything, so I'm a super outdoors person. I like my indoor time, but after like a long day outdoors, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's nice to have fresh air every once in a while, and especially you being an athlete.
So for me, being stuck indoors I was kind of going a little bit crazy, but we'll get into the whole quarantine stuff. That's a subject I want to cover just now.
Perspective, isn't it? Because, like, I would find myself complaining and then bringing it back, like, "Whoa, I'm so lucky." It's so much worse for so many people, and, like, people are going through such crazy things with this, or it's just a constant. Yeah, you have to almost constantly just check yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, no one's in our generation has really gone through something like this. So it was a very new experience for a lot of people. I think it's definitely changed a lot of the way we're going to live moving forward. You know,
Absolutely.
it's I personally had a lot of time to think. I used the time to just spend a lot of time with myself. Um, I feel like I worked on a lot of like, I had so much more time to think and spend inside my head and cover subjects I never really had time to think about. I mean, just for me personally, with my swimming, I've never had a break. I started swimming at a professional level at 17, and I'm now 24. I haven't had a break longer than maybe a month.
Well, we did. You had that break after the first Olympics, but it wasn't really a mental break, because we traveled so much in that time that you didn't actually sit down with yourself
But
and
even
your
that was only like a month.
I think it was a little bit longer than a month, babe. But it doesn't
Okay,
matter because you didn't
let's say a month
stop.
and a half, 2 months. But quarantine was like 6, 7 months until I got to. I'm swimming again now, in very controlled circumstances because COVID's still crazy here. But yeah, I went about 6 or 7 months without swimming,
Yeah,
and that kind of gave me a lot of time to think, time I'd never had before. So in a way, I'm kind of grateful for that. Just looking at the silver linings out of all of this is, and some people got to spend a lot more time with their family. I know that was great for you.
that was amazing for me. I'm really blessed in that sense. Like,
Yeah.
my brother came home from university, my grandparents live on my property, so we all just had a lot of really good family time. Looking back on it now, it was so great. Um,
That must have been nice.
sorry, babe. We did wish you were
No,
here.
it's all good.
We had to FaceTime Calvin, like, every evening so he could kind of feel like he was part of it, you know?
Yeah, I FaceTimed you guys a lot. My beautiful sisters, I've got 2 beautiful sisters, older sisters. The younger of the 2 sisters was stuck in Gibraltar, so she was also separated. But my older sister managed to get, she lives in a different city, but she managed to get to the city that my dad lives in South Africa. So at least my dad um,
He had
spent
one
quarantine with my
well,
sister.
no, he
Yeah,
had
so he had,
and his other daughter,
and my stepsister.
and his your stepsister.
I
They had a
forgot they
really
also
cool
moved in.
house, and your
Yeah, they had
niece.
a fun house, and I've got a newborn niece, so
Oh, yes,
um,
she's gorgeous.
my dad had a full house, so that's nice. At least I'm happy he had some company. I can manage on my own, you know.
Yo, Calvin's really you're really good like that. You see, I would have been an absolute basket case if I was in your position. I'm super grateful I'm not, but I think, yeah, you were really good in, like, terms of managing your mindset, because obviously when, like, that whole cancellation happened, I got so nervous about you were gonna go through. You know, having something that you worked so hard taken away from you like that, and then having to kind of deal with it on your own in a confined space, so far away from home. You know, it just
Yeah, it was. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's even still sunk in to this day. That, like, I mean, it's just such a wild thing. The Olympics has only ever been cancelled once previously, and that was because of World War II. So pretty, out of the ordinary circumstances. The process, it's almost like grieving in a way because you're kind of in denial for a while. It's like, oh, there's no way this is actually happening. I've literally sacrificed. And by the way, that bird in the background is called a
sorry.
hardy-dar.
Is it really loud?
Famous, famous asshole bird of South Africa.
They are
They're
not.
very loud. They love to scream. And I do actually kind of miss them though.
You see, it's
They,
just so normal.
they're
Like,
natural alarm clocks. They'll just wake you up screaming like that.
there's
But
so many birds. You probably hear a lot of birds going on right now.
I do. I miss that. I miss hearing birds. There's not many birds outside the window where I stay in LA. I'm kind of downtown. But anyway, I just got super sidetracked. That, by the way, that's going to happen a lot. Get used to it, guys. This podcast is going to be me jumping all over the place. Courtney is hopefully going to be our anchor
Pulling
and
me
kind of
back.
steer us. You're our captain. But
Okay,
anyway,
I'll
what
take
was I
it.
saying?
You were
What
saying
was I
you
saying?
were talking about your grieving process with Olympics being cancelled
Uh,
and how
that
you were in
sounds
denial.
dramatic. I sound
Well,
dramatic,
it
but it was kind of hectic
it was hectic.
because, you know, when you're training for something like the Olympics, you kind of, I mean, it's what you give up everything. That's your North Star.
Mhm.
That's your sole
It
focus. That's
has
your
to be.
sole priority. That's the only thing you care about for
It
four
has to
years.
be because otherwise
It
you
has to be. Yeah, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get there without that kind of thinking. I kind of put everything on hold for 4 years, and I say no to a lot of other parts of my life and a lot of other things that I'm interested
so
for
many
this.
sacrifices.
Yeah, a ton of sacrifices.
And
But I mean,
especially, like,
people
leading
notice.
up to it leading up yeah, I'm sure many people that are listening to this that are professional swimmers will understand the level of sacrifice that you have to make, but even I think leading up to it, the 6 months prior to it, the trips that you've had to turn down and that kind of stuff because you can't miss a day of training, it's like all of that comes rushing back to you in this moment when it's all taken away, like, "Oh my gosh, what could
Yeah.
it mean?"
The thing is, as well, is it's 4 years of crazy training. It's training where you like kind of want to throw up every single day. So you kind of do all of this for 4 years, really hoping to reap some form of reward at the end of the road.
And you had had such a weird journey with this lead up to this Olympics that's so different to the first one, where you sort of had, like, much more stability leading up to Rio 2016, whereas
Well,
coming
Rio 2016, I was doing from training in South Africa. I was with the South African
you
Olympic
stayed
coach.
with that coach, like, years up to leading to the
Yeah, Graham
trials
Hill.
eras.
I was still living at home. Everything was easy.
It's really
And
easy.
then my whole life was 180 degrees, like completely different in the
Yeah, well,
next
that's
4
what
year
I was
build
gonna
up.
say, like, leading up to Tokyo, you trained well, firstly, you took a lot of time off from Rio, then you started training back again in Durban for Commonwealth, and then afterwards you moved out to LA, and, like, there were so many changes that happened in your life.
Let me just say, Commonwealth is the Commonwealth Games, which is arguably the second biggest event under Olympics where it's all the it's basically a Olympics for all the Commonwealth countries.
Isn't it?
Um,
The World
no,
Game?
Worlds is all countries. World
Oh,
Championships is all countries. Commonwealth Games is all the Commonwealth countries. And that's also every 4 years, but it'll go Olympics, 2 years, Commonwealth Games, 2 years, Olympics, 2 years, Commonwealth Games, 2 years. So it's that kind of 2-year cycle, then there's a big competition. So the last big competition was Commonwealth Games in 2018 in Australia. And I kind of took a little break after that. And that's when well, in all honesty, I think I was actually kind of
you were
considering
done.
retiring. I was kind of
Absolutely.
considering retiring
And
at
I
that
don't think
point.
actually anyone knows this because you kept it really quiet and you kind of kept telling everyone that you were going, Tokyo, that's the dream. But actually you were going through so much post Commonwealth, like where you threw in the towel. And what it took was a change of scenery. Calvyn is
Yeah,
so moved and motivated, and like your environment determines everything in your life. So
it's a big influence for sure.
huge. And change, you love change. So I hate change. I will like literally stay in the same place for my whole life and be super happy about it. You constantly need to be moving and grooving. And so I think, where did you actually meet Chase?
I'm now swimming in Los Angeles at a pro team at USC called Trojans, Trojan Pro Team at the University of Southern California. And that's with head coach Dave Salo. Um, and he has an assistant called Chase, who I met at the Commonwealth Games in Australia, because he was the coach there for another swimmer, Dylan Carter, who was competing for Trinidad and Tobago. And Dylan's a good friend, and he introduced me to Chase. And well, actually, no, Chase watched me win the bronze medal in the
Yeah,
relay on
and
the last
Chase
night.
said, give me a call. Come out and swim with us. You said to Chase, sorry to interrupt, but you told Chase, like, this is me. I'm done. Like, I'm
Well,
finished.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm walking out of the pool towards, so there's a competition pool and then there's a warm up and warm down pool. So I'm like out of the pool, like all out of breath, and I'm walking towards the warm down pool to obviously do my warm down after the race. And I bumped into Chase and he was like, hey, I just saw the race. Well done. That looked really good. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, I think that was probably my last race. And he was like, huh, well, what's your plan?
Yeah, and then he was like, come give it a couple weeks with me at USC with Trojan and then reassess, kind of, is what he said.
Well, he kind of said it in a way like he was like, what's your plan? And I was like, I don't know, but I kind of want to get out of South Africa. I just kind of want to do something else for a little bit. And he was like, well, I'm assistant coach at a pro team in Los Angeles. If you land up there, come say what's up. And I was like, huh,
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
that's interesting. And I think I probably spent like a week thinking about it. And then I was like, hey, I'm coming to LA.
Yeah, you were.
I was emailing Dave, the head coach, and he was ignoring me. I literally came to LA and I got an Airbnb in Beverly Hills. That sounds super bougie. It wasn't. It was like,
No, it wasn't a really
it was
nice.
nice.
It was really, really nice street.
There were 2 other guys that were staying in the Airbnb and they were legends. I love them.
This is Calvin in a nutshell. Like, he'll wake
I'm
up one
just
day
saying it
and
wasn't
like,
like Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills. It
no,
was like, it was like a little guest room on a fold up bed that would literally, when I got up in the night, the bed would start folding on me.
yeah, sorry, just also like I'm super excited to discuss that in another episode we have coming up that we're planning about like the kind of what people think versus actually what everything is, just to add with
Yeah,
regards to being
LA's
slim.
LA's an interesting place because it's as glamorous as you think it is and more. It's also got some rough areas, but yeah, we'll discuss that
Flavor
in
for
another
another day.
episode. So anyway, I'm staying at this Airbnb and I got the address for the pool, which is the University of Southern California. And I took the bus to the pool and I kind of walked in. I told Chase what day I was arriving. The day I arrived, he was actually surfing in Kelly Slater's wave pool, which is a man-made surfing pool. I don't know how else to explain it. Google it. It is awesome. And Chase is a big surfer, and he was like, okay, well, I'm actually here for the weekend, so I won't be able to see you. So I kind of rock up at the pool, and I see Dave, the head coach, and I'm wearing a shirt that's, you know, the style, Kanye West kind of vibes. It had rips in it and it was kind of torn. You know, I'm a stylish, fashionable kind of
Okay,
guy. You know, I'm
okay.
kind of rocking this new style. Um, but I'm wearing this white shirt and it's got rips and holes in it, which is a vibe. But anyway, so I walk up to the head coach and I guess Chase had said something to him, thank God, because I hadn't received any responses from him in the emails or anything. So I had no idea if he ever knew I was coming. But I went up and I introduced myself, and the first thing he said was, "Are you homeless?" or something to that effect. And I'm like, "Oh fuck."
Oh, no, do you know what? I'm getting so confused. That's a really funny thing with Dave, is because you know Calvin always posts shirtless photos on Instagram. If you follow him, you'll know. And then Dave follows him, so he brought him a shirt the one day and was like, "I kind of thought you needed this since you clearly don't have
Yeah.
any." That's his sense of humor. That's Dave, like to a T. So he had some witty thing to say about your ripped clothing. I can't remember it either, but it was funny.
Yeah, the relationship started off like that, and I was kind of like, "Oh, he either fucking hates me or he's having a go at me because he likes me." And I think it was the latter because
Absolutely, you guys had such a
we've had
good
a
relationship.
we've had a really fun relationship, and we have a lot of banter, which I really like because in South Africa, banter is like quite a big thing. You know, the UK,
Yes,
in London, and in South Africa, like banter is just like a
in
really
Australia.
big part of the culture. Yeah, in Australia. So, you know, you got to be able to take a couple knocks on the chin.
Yeah, but that was like you and Dave had that relationship where you kind of took these little jabs at one another, and you had a really playful, kind of funny relationship like that, where nothing was ever taken too seriously.
Well, the funniest part is when I first joined the team, I could not understand Dave's accent
Mhm.
whatsoever.
But he couldn't
He's
understand yours,
and
and
he's to this day he still barely understands me, and I think my accent's, I mean, it's definitely stayed South African. I haven't become American over the year or 2 years that I've been here now, but I would need to have someone in the lane next to me translate what he was saying, and then someone would need to translate what I was saying to him. So
mhm.
that
But also,
also
like,
kind of just like,
Dave, because I mean, I've sat in on obviously, a lot of their training sessions, filming, whatever. It's not my
for the
favorite thing to do.
YouTubes. If you don't know, guys, I've got a YouTube channel. You got to
And if you
you got to
don't
go
know,
subscribe to that.
I'm the one that takes all the swimming shots, thank you,
And
I
Courtney
have a
helps film a lot of
face.
it.
But anyways, I was gonna say, like, Dave shouts out these things, it sounds like gibberish because it's not even the accent, but it's what he's saying that is so confusing.
Let me say this because people need to realize Dave is one of the most respected coaches in the world. I'd say maybe top five. And he's a doctor. He's got his like PhD in um, something like related to like sports science and philosophy. No, he's got like two, I think. And he's written several books. He's an incredibly intelligent man, and he's got a very unique training program. And when he kind of writes up the sessions, they look like elaborate math equations. They look incredibly confusing and they just look crazy. And the way he speaks and explains them sounds very intimidating and wild until you understand all the like terminology and vernacular that he uses. He just kind of makes it all sound way over your head. So my first couple of weeks there were quite crazy. On top of that, having the accents. So there was a lot of what? Huh? Sorry, coach, what was that? Going back and forth. And that kind of also just added to the banter of everything. And I think he found the South African accent very funny
Found
or
it so
interesting
funny because he always repeats
because,
back the words.
yeah, whatever I say, he'll always be like,
He'll try and do the accent, which no one can ever.
the South African accent is very unique. It's a mix between Australian and
I
like
don't
the
even know,
British,
like,
and
everyone always says, "Oh, you're Australian," but I'm like, "No, not even close."
it's very similar to New Zealand, I found. But besides the point, he would often like repeat whatever the last word I said to him was. So I'd be like, what was the interval or something? And he would be like, what was the interval? Like
And you would
trying
say
to
it all
kind of recreate
slowly.
it.
That's so
You'd say it all
funny.
slowly and be like completely off. And then the whole team would kind of laugh. And that was just like a really great way to kind of include me into the team. It made me feel really special, like really
On
welcomed.
top of the confusion with his sessions alone, you kind of walk into this environment that is filled with so many great
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up because yeah, Trojan Pro Team consisted of multiple world record holders, Olympic gold medalists. At the 2016 Olympic Games, there were 20 swimmers from this team. So it's a very prestigious team. It's a very high level team, and the first couple of days were very intimidating. But yeah, everyone made me feel super welcomed. These people have become family, and
They were a
yeah,
special,
it's
special group of people. But it was just so it was a it you're just so funny the way that you transitioned so fast and quickly. Like I could never have done that, what you did, when you just kind of rocked up there, in front of all these great swimmers, had no idea what was going on, got in the pool, completely different style of training.
that
Yeah,
was just the biggest thing is the style of training. I went from a much longer kind of big long workouts to short sprints, racing everything kind of training with Dave. And yeah, it also, I mean, like we said earlier, I like changes. I think it's been great. I'm happier than I've ever been out here in California, and I just need old Court to come join me, and then everything's going to be peachy
it will be
and
great.
perfect.
All good again, and
So
everything to open up, I suppose.
yeah, let's hope that happens soon. I feel like we just spoke a ton about me. I want to hear what.
Well, I feel like we've just spoken a ton about swimming, and I feel like I'm sorry if I speak for you a lot of the time because I'm so involved in your world when it comes to that I think sometimes I remember things more than you do,
Well, I've also got a goldfish memory,
and
so
Calvin forgets everything.
I've
But
got zero. I've got very bad memory.
yeah, I didn't know anything about swimming before I knew you, and then I joined this world, and then all of my closest friends in LA were also swimmers, so it was, like, very much a part of my life. I feel like I might as well be a swimmer too if I didn't drown every time I tried because I just know kind of, too much almost about it all.
No, you've made friends with a lot of the people on the team, which is really awesome. But tell me a bit about, or tell the listeners a bit about how your quarantine was, because I feel like I kind of covered it. You know, we've gone through the whole upsetting event of Olympics being cancelled. Um, how did you deal with quarantine?
Well, I mean, at first, not well at all, and I kind of was like, I don't know, I kept giving myself this false hope of when things were gonna open and when I was gonna be able to get over to the States, and, I had so many plans, as did everyone, that were cancelled with regards to work, opportunities, and all of that kind of stuff that all took such a step back, but I don't know, I think, like, after June, I sort of let go of that because I was just like, I have literally no control over this anymore. I can't do anything about it. I've just got to sit tight and wait. And once I did that, I feel like my mindset was a lot better. Um, and I could sort of deal with things a little better. But I don't know. It's been really difficult putting your life on hold. But I mean, I say this as like I'm the only person going through it. Everyone's life's been on hold. I don't know. Apart from that, positives about lockdown, spending time with family has been amazing. I think that's actually about it. That's about my only positive.
You did quite a lot of drawing though. You used art definitely as like
Yeah.
kind of an
Oh,
escape.
yes. I definitely use art as an escape. I love
Courtney's an
drawing.
amazing drawer, by the way.
Yeah,
She won't say
kind
that,
of.
but she
It
is.
depends. Well,
She's really good.
just
Not at drawing hands though.
yeah.
She's terrible at drawing hands. But she's good at
That
drawing
was
horses
nice.
and animals and stuff. But your hands and your
Yeah.
fingers are not good. She tried to we tried to first draw
Yeah,
the
it's
cover
different
art.
context.
We tried to draw this illustration.
So what I did, because I don't have, like, the means to digitize the image, so I can do it in pencil, which is what I did. I sketched it up and scanned it, and Calvin was then gonna attempt to do this on whatever, Adobe, Photoshop,
I have a
whatever.
little bit of a background kind of in graphic design. I'll get into that in another episode.
But anyways, it was awful,
But
and
Courtney was gonna draw it, send it to me, and I was gonna like create the
maybe we'll
vector
share
and kind
the
of
the drawing that I
animate it.
did.
I don't know. It was, and
I
I
don't
thought it
know,
was good.
honestly,
I
like,
thought it was good until we got Laura to design
true,
this
and
new
then she
one.
did it, and she's just so good at what she does, and that's just such a lesson. and let people do what they're good at, like, let people do their jobs. But you see, there's a control freak in me kind of
Delegate,
coming out.
delegate. You got to
I'm
delegate.
so bad at delegating, I wanna do everything myself. I wanna be in control of it all,
I'm the
which
same,
is,
but
yeah, kind of, I guess.
that was a good lesson, and it came out amazing. If you get a chance, please check it out. Like, kind of try and zoom in because the detail she did was wild. It's
Yeah.
insane. I feel like we had a similar quarantine because whilst I wasn't drawing and stuff, I was also kind of using art as an outlet in the terms
Yeah, and
of
actually, when you got your new
creating.
surfboard, you drew, like, the most insane things on it. I never knew that Calvin could do this. I was blown away. I was like, "What? This is my talent, like, you can't do this."
Well, so let me add some context. Thank God, luckily, the beaches in California were only closed for quite a short amount of time. I think it was only like a month or 2 months. Don't fact check me. I'm going to say don't fact check anything we ever say in this podcast because I never know what we're going to say. But yeah, we had the beaches open up pretty
I
early, I
don't
think.
really ever remember a time. I think your beaches were closed for, like, 2 weeks, Calv, genuine. I think you're getting confused with our beaches, which were closed for, again, months. We could
Okay,
not
either way, the
go to
beaches
the beach.
were open for majority of the lockdown, thank God, because that was the thing that kept me sane. And me and my roommate Alex would surf pretty much every single day. We both got new surfboards. Shout out Thread Surfboards, Frankie, the Australian shaper in Newport. He uh he made some cracker
Sorry,
boards.
what did you say? An Australian what?
Shaper.
Shaper. You see,
Yeah.
your accent's really, really South African, but carry
Well,
on.
this is the thing. Okay. Now that you're gonna put me on this is the thing. Now that you're gonna put me on the spot, we're from different, in a sense, we're from different cities. We're not really, but Courtney went to college in Cape Town, and I'm from Durban. And Durban's like a surf town, Cape Town's like the academic kind of town.
Well, yeah, Cape Town can't no, no, not at all. I don't think that's a good description, but anyways, I feel like, with Cape
They're
Town,
different
the accent,
accents.
you can hear it, it's so obvious, and if you're South African, you'll totally know. You can tell a Joburg accent from a Durban accent, from a whatever,
Cape
and
Town accent.
from a Cape Town accent, but
The point is that the Durban accent is like a very surf, like kind of the equivalent of how the California surf accent is in America. So I kind of have the equivalent of that being from Durban in South Africa, being from this like surf town. So that's why our accents are a little bit different. Why did we bring this up? You try to out me.
oh, yeah, I did, and you asked me not to, but I'm sorry I did. Because you know what, I feel like it's a good thing to talk about, though. I feel like we needed to
Yeah,
talk about it
but I don't
because
want the American accent.
oh,
I
no, I
like my
love
South
my
African
accent.
accent.
It's great. I just my biggest concern with this podcast is that other listeners aren't gonna understand what I'm saying. That's, like, I'm so worried about because, I mean, if in America, like, if I tell you I get asked to repeat myself all the time in America, it's, like, everything.
Starbucks.
Oh my gosh,
Starbucks is our
stop. I don't even
worst
give my
nightmare.
name anymore. I give my name as Jade because if I give it as Courtney, they like the last time I gave it as Courtney in the States, it got written down as Cookie. I was like, "What?"
That's a bit of a
But
stretch.
but then I was speaking to one of my really good friends. She's from Denmark, and she actually said to me the other day that I was sounding really South African. Sarah Bro, she's amazing. She's beautiful as well. And she was like, "You sound super South African." And I don't really notice it obviously because I'm back here. But then when I speak to you, I'm like, "You sound way more South African than I do."
I don't know what it is, but I feel like when I came to America, my accent got like a
It
little
got
bit
stretched.
stronger.
It did get stronger because it's like you compensated. You were like, I don't know, it's
No,
so
you know what I
weird.
think it is I hate being told what to do. And
Oh gosh, yeah, we know.
when people keep asking me to repeat myself, I feel like subconsciously I was like, the little anarchist in me or like the little rebel was like, fuck you. I'm going to speak even thicker, make
Yeah,
this
so
even
you
harder
really
for you.
don't understand.
So I've doubled down
Yeah.
subconsciously. But anyway, back to the Starbucks thing. When I give my name, I'm always Colbin.
Yeah, you always Corbin, but that's because, this is the other thing with our accent is like we speak in a very low monotone, like, kind of way, whereas Americans are super upbeat and like everything is they just so much more I don't know, it's almost just like all their words are they end on that high. I don't know what's it called.
They go higher, and South Africa is very monotone. And our A's, it's like car in America. It's like the A is higher, and our A's are lower. So it's like
Just everything is lower. I think our whole yeah, water.
they would say like water, and we'd say like water. It's like much lower. When I say Calvin, it sounds a lot lower.
You like even in South Africa, they don't even know what you're saying because he's like Calvin, whereas I'll say your name is Calvin.
They would say like Calvin.
Calvin.
So sometimes I remember to do that at Starbucks, sometimes I don't. And that's just, the life and times and the struggles of us
Our
living in
accent.
America right
But,
now.
like, it's funny because Sarah from Denmark, like, her and I never ever had to repeat anything to one another because our accents were kind of similar with the way it's not the accent, it's the tone, isn't it? You almost have to up it like, up your decibels a bit.
True.
But that was,
Yeah,
like, one of
that
my
might be
main
it.
concerns with this podcast is I was just, "Oh my goodness." I hope people do understand me because even, like, when we've spoken on YouTube videos, sometimes I say things and people think I've said something completely different, and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I've had a lot of comments like that on YouTube.
And even on Instagram, and, like, that's why I never speak on Instagram stories because I feel like I sound weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just
Mm.
my own issues, but I feel like I always get comments like, "What did you say?" or "Did you say this?" or, like, something's taken way out of context. So, I don't know. Anyways, we'll
Well,
see how it goes.
I hope this is good. Well, also, just please bear in mind, this is episode 1. Courtney's on the other side of the world, so the audio is, we've done our best. We're using a bunch of applications and programs right now to kind of make this all come together. But
And I was also just on that same point, like, it's so hard to I mean, we can see each other, but I feel like bear with us if we interrupt or speak over one another because sometimes it gets a bit delayed, and also I can't really see him, so it's, like, kind of difficult to tell when you wanna butt in, you know?
so the audio is going to get better. Courtney is coming hopefully sometime soon
Soon.
in the next few weeks or so. And then we'll be doing the podcast in person. At that point, the podcast will also have a visual element to it. We'll have a visual version that'll go on YouTube. And we'll
Maybe. I
have
don't know,
guests
I'm kind
on,
of so comfortable without, like, people seeing me.
but we're going to have
I
guests
love
on, and
that
that's
about
going to be exciting.
I know. That's gonna be really exciting. We have a list of
So
such interesting people that we wanna talk to. Different people, people that you wouldn't expect.
there's going to be a lot to look forward to, is my point. So if you're riding with us from episode 1, firstly, you're a legend. We love you. I'm a dreamer. I've got huge goals for this. I think this is going to be great.
I'm excited, and I'm excited to kind of do this, like, be a part of something from the start, and because I feel like it's sort of mine as much as it is yours. Whereas your YouTube channel, I've always struggled opening up on a lot because, it's your audience. I mean, this is probably a lot of your audience because you got a much greater following, but I've always found like your YouTube quite intimidating to be on. So I'm really hoping like this is going to be a nice place for me to sort of open up more and, you know, just share more of like my opinions more so than I would on other kind of
Other
platforms.
platforms.
Yeah, because I feel more comfortable just talking like this, which is why you visual aspect scares me. But it's fine. We'll figure that
But I
out.
mean, that's coming. That's coming in a while. It's going to be weekly uploads. It's going to get better every time. We literally kind of figuring this out as we go along. I've got no fucking clue what I'm doing, and I
Yeah,
don't think
and I
Courtney
also
does
just
either.
no, I don't. But I also just want to preface this whole thing. I wanted to say this at the beginning and I forgot. Just a lot of what we're going to say is our opinions. I have my opinion, Calvin has his, and I'm sure you all have yours. And we don't have any bad intentions. We mean no offense.
Good vibes.
Please don't take anything we say to heart. I think there's such a great, learning aspect with having
2 podcasts.
disagreements. No, with having disagreements with people, and I'm so open to people disagreeing with what we say, but just don't get offended by what we say. And if you are, then maybe let's just voice it in a really nice way, because
We're going to probably disagree on most things as well. That's the whole point of this, is that we have different perspectives. And that's what I love about podcasts. You kind of get all these different perspectives and different ways of looking and thinking about things. So let's all have open minds. Let's all have good vibes. And this is going to be one hell of a journey. I'm
yeah,
super excited.
I'm kind of
And thank
excited
you.
too.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for your time. If you've listened this
Are we
far,
done? Are we
we're
finishing this
55
now?
minutes in, I think. I think our first one
Here
should be
we
under
are.
an hour,
And
you know, just a
maybe if
little
people
warm
are
up.
still listening, they've probably tuned out by now. But I mean, I feel like this was all over the place, so I apologize for that. We'll try and keep it a little bit more, I guess,
Every
structured.
episode's going to get better. That's how it's going to be. We're going to figure it out. I want you guys to leave comments, and we're going to kind of build this podcast together. I don't know.
I don't
DM
think you
us.
leave comments on podcasts. I think you can like rate them, but maybe just DM us. I love speaking to people in the DMs, so I'm always
Let
open
us
to,
know what you think is the point of what we're trying to say.
yeah,
Let's
I
build
guess.
this. Let's build this podcast together. Let's get it to a good point. If you've enjoyed this first episode, it definitely helps us if you can. What's that? You leave a review, I think,
I
on
think it is a
podcasts,
review.
and subscribe and share it with your friends. Throw a little story up on your Instagram. That'd be really nice and kind, and really appreciated from us. But yeah, let's just have fun with it. Let's see what happens. There's going to be awesome guests. I've got huge goals and dreams for where this is going to go one day. It's going to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. I'm saying it now. It's going to be awesome, and you're here at the beginning, so that's kind of special. And we're going to ride this train.
I just hope this was
We're going to ride this
interesting.
wave. Watch this. I'm going to throw 2 swimming and surfing references in.
Oh,
Let's
God.
dive right in and ride this wave together. Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay. That's cool.
We got no ads. No ads in the first episode. That's really nice.
No, we definitely don't have ads in the first episode. But I just hope this was okay. I feel like we jumped around so much.
No, I think it was good. I think it was fine. That's the point of podcasts, just conversation.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, a part of me doesn't want to keep it structured. Like, let's freeball it. Like, this
We're
thoughts,
doing no editing. There's nothing.
no
There's no
editing,
cuts.
no cuts. Like,
This
Calvyn
is raw, real
and I
time
have,
conversation.
all these weird ass conversations, so many disagreements. So we just thought we'd share them with you, basically.
I just got to practice not saying dude and bro so much because I've been living with another guy, my roommate Alex.
Oh, yeah.
Legend.
You
Shout
guys
out
are
Alex,
like,
love you.
dude, motherfucker.
And
That's all
we're
they
super.
say to each
We
other.
just surf and swim, and it's dude this and bro that and fuck this and fuck that, and everything's just super
Alex
like
is
frat
always
boy
like,
talk.
Alex is always like, you motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
You motherfucker.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, you can imagine we're just 2 young dudes, and yeah, I need to be vigilant on the podcast and not say dude and bro.
Calvyn and Alex together is the cutest duo ever. It's like they're both the same height. Actually, Alex is a little taller than you. They look like 2 little chopsticks. We always call them like 2 chopsticks because they're just these 2 lanky, tall dudes like strolling through with their surfboards in hand. That's where you'll find them, at the beach.
Vibes. Good times. Well, speaking of, I'm in Laguna, so I'm going to go for well, it's looking a little overcast, but I think there's good waves, so I'm going to head down to the beach and see what's up. And you're probably going to head to bed in a couple hours.
Well,
We're
yeah,
complete
I know.
opposite sides of the world, different time zones.
Go and have dinner, literally.
Well, guys, thank you. This is episode 1, Danzo, and we'll probably come up with a cool outro at some point, but for now, I think it's just going to be
Sing
cheers.
us out. Why don't you sing us out?
I'm not
Just
singing us out.
Calvyn can't sing, he's awful.
I cannot sing at all. But thank you, and have an awesome day.
Yep, that's all.